I can see your bum crack.
Let it happen.
I just want to put things in there like sandwiches. So I'm here today to do my coming out story because Rose did her coming out story and I was gel. Hopefully this video should be quite helpful. Bisexuality is a really complicated thing to come out as, and I don't want to offend anyone. I know that so many gay people have had such hard struggles internally and, you know, with other people as well, coming out as gay, but I do think that bisexuality, it can sometimes be even harder to come out as. People assume that you have an element of choice, so I think people think, why are you choosing to do this? And so in some ways it can be more difficult. When I was about 10, I knew that I was different. When I moved schools, I met this boy called James Keir, and I thought he was incredible. I knew that I really fancied him. I had a crush on him. I was overwhelmed with feelings for him. I couldn't stop thinking about him, and he was my first kiss. I didn't lust sexually after James, but I realised that I was attracted to him and therefore attracted to men. I also felt that way about a number of girls. I've told people before that I knew I was bisexual from a very young age, at least 12, but I think maybe younger. And people have said, how the fuck can you fancy, you know, anyone at 12? How can you know at 12? It wasn't sexual feelings, but it was feelings. It was a crush. I was attracted to men and women from a really young age. I think that the girls definitely sensed it. They didn't want to play with me. When I joined high school, I don't remember specifically coming out. I don't remember saying to people, I'm bisexual, and them saying, oh, I didn't know that. I feel as though everyone just always knew. I think I just made it really obvious. I'd always just be like, oh, that girl's really fit. That girl on telly's hot. Oh, I'd fuck that girl. So I think people just knew. When I joined high school in about year 7 or 8, I met this girl, and she said to me, I'm a lesbian. And I was like, cool, okay. And she was like, I fancy girls. And I was like, yeah, me too. Cool. And we really flirted. You know, I was turned on, so I knew I was really sexually attracted to this girl. I was becoming sexually attracted to her, and to women. I had older brothers, and I can remember going in my brother's room and finding he had like FHM magazines and Zoo magazines and just basically dirty magazines, and I stole them and read them and loved it and got turned on by it. And I remember thinking, oh, I'm not allowed to go buy these magazines. And my mum found them in my room and was like, your brother is allowed to buy whatever magazines he wants, with whatever they have in them. It's his choice. Don't hide them from him. And she assumed that I'd been hiding his magazines when actually I'd been reading them. When I was 14 or 15, maybe 15, the girl asked me out and I said yes. And I was really excited about having a relationship with a girl. I knew I wanted one. I knew that it could be really good. But I also had doubts in my mind. And I walked home with another girl, another friend of mine, and I said to this friend, oh, I'm going out with this girl now. We're going to go out. And the girl said, oh my god, no, that's the wrong thing to do. Bear in mind, this girl was quite religious. She was like really religious, so it might have been that talking. I went home and I had a girlfriend, so I decided to tell my mum. And I said, Mum, I think I'm bisexual. And my mum just completely dismissed it and said, oh, you don't know what you are yet. And no, you're not. You don't know what you are. You're not old enough to know what you are. What my mum said made me feel really frustrated. Obviously I did know what I was because I still am. So looking back, actually I was right and I knew all along, and you know, I was old enough to know my own mind. So it's quite horrible, my mum being quite dismissive and just being like, oh whatever, you don't know what you're talking about. It's quite rude. I don't think she meant anything maliciously. I genuinely think when parents react like that, maybe they just don't know how to react, or they don't know if it's a phase, or they just don't know what to say and they don't want to talk about it, so they get out of it really quickly. And when my mum said that to me, you don't know what you are, you don't know what you are, you don't know, I remember thinking, well, I do know, but that's the last time I'll ever speak to you about it. And the next day I walked to school and ended it with the girl because my friend had persuaded me to end it. And then throughout school I also dated guys as well, and I met my first long-term boyfriend, Barney, and I lost my virginity to him and was with him for like 2.5 years and then another 2.5 years. So when I was in sixth form, obviously everybody knew I fancied men and women. I'd like kissed a lot of women, I'd experimented, I'd done some stuff with women. I knew I was bisexual, but I think I wanted to go all the way, do everything to just seal the deal, testing my feelings, I guess. And I remember I had a friend at the time, a really good friend, and I said, oh, I really, really want to sleep with a woman. Would you sleep with me? Haha. And my friend was like, no. And I was like, oh, okay. And then we went out to my friend's birthday party and we were at the pub getting really drunk. Actually, we were walking on our way to a pub. I remember my friend said to me, do you still want to sleep with me? And I was like, yeah. And she was like, let's do it tonight then. And I remember saying like, oh my god, are you sure? Are you sure? And she was like, yeah, let's do it tonight. And I was like, okay. So we went and got really, really drunk and we were staying at my friend's house and we went back to my friend's house and we took it over her dad's bedroom and yeah, we spent the night and yeah, it did exactly what I knew it would do. I obviously am equally sexually attracted to both men and women. I enjoy having sex with women, I enjoy having sex with men equally. I love it with both of them. My instincts were right in that I sort of always knew. So I just felt happy. I felt happy that I'd done it. I felt experienced. I thought, right, if I ever go out with a woman now, you know, I've been with a woman before, so I know what to do. And I really like that. So, and me and that friend had sex a couple more times. And then I think one of us might have got a boyfriend. I'm not really sure, but practice makes perfect. Me and my first long-term boyfriend had split up, and we'd been split up for a while. And I met my next boyfriend, who was sort of long-term, who I ended up living with and stuff. And when I met that guy, I said, look, I'm bisexual, this is how it is, I'm always open and honest in a relationship. Loads of people write me messages saying, should I tell my boyfriend I'm bisexual? And I'm like, yes, because if he left you because you're bisexual, that's leaving you because of who you are, and he obviously means nothing. And same with a girl, you know, at the end of the day, when people have a relationship with you, they have a relationship with you, the real you. So you should always be honest and be open about the real you. And if someone leaves you because of it, then that's fine. That's a good thing that they've gone, because, you know, if they don't like the real you, then how could they be with you? So I told him I was bisexual. I was open and honest with him from the start, which I am with everyone and all boys and girls and anyone I just meet, because if someone doesn't like me for that, then I'd rather know straight away so they can get out my life. So I was open and I was like, yeah, I'm bisexual, I like men and women. And he was like, okay, well, and this was a really strange setup, like, you know, this was just his feelings, and it's bad and good in a way. But this boyfriend said to me, I don't mind if you kiss women while we're together. He was like, I don't consider it cheating. It just shows that men don't respect women in any way, but they respect another male interfering with their relationship, but they don't really take a female seriously. And that's one of the difficulties of bisexuality and just life and being a woman in general, that men don't respect women. And I'm not man-hating, I like a lot of men, I'm not saying all men do this. My hatred is more for society, not men. Like, please don't think I'm a man-hater, because I'm not. I'm bisexual, I love men and women equally. But yeah, it was kind of bad, but that's how we felt. Rose and I have had this problem before in our relationship. People don't respect the girlfriend. Like, people don't respect a girl, but they'd respect a boy more. And yeah, I don't know how to explain this, but he'd consider it cheating if I kissed a man, but he wouldn't consider it cheating if I kissed a woman, which shows that he doesn't take it seriously. Like, why aren't they a threat? I could just as easily run away with a girl as I could with a guy. Like, there's no difference to me. I really loved my boyfriend when I was with him. I really, really did. I really loved him. Anyone who knows me will tell you that. I never worried that I was a lesbian, because I've fallen in love with at least 2 men, and and I enjoyed the sex, and I had good relationships, especially with my first love. I really, really did. And that will never go away for me, you know. I am attracted to men, I still am. On the telly I'll fancy a man and I'll fancy a woman, so it's just always going to be like that. If I was single and I was lonely and I wanted a relationship and I thought, I really want to settle down with someone, I wouldn't think I'm going to go after a guy or go after a girl. I'd think, I just want to meet someone. As long as they treated me nicely and made me feel special, I wouldn't care. I think it's really hard for bisexuals because there is the illusion of choice. Because obviously, being in a gay relationship isn't as easy as being in a straight relationship. You don't have those heteronormative privileges. You know, it's not about choice, because if you fall in love with someone and then someone took them away from you and said, well, it's okay, you could go out with someone else and it'll be easier, that doesn't matter. So there isn't a choice. Because I'm in love with Rose, even though I'm bisexual, I could be with a man or a woman, I want to only be with Rose. I strongly believe that you can't help who you fall in love with. Like, it's not as easy as just being like, I'll pick this person. That's not what happens in relationships. So if that's what you think, I don't know why you're having the easiest time, but it's not like that. You can't just pick like that. The first time I remember really, like, coming out to someone was when my boyfriend and I split up, and I asked Rose out on a date, and I had to tell my best friend Anna, who you all know from our Super Kiss video, Expecto Patronum! And she knew I was bisexual, and I've kissed Anna before, and I've kissed girls in front of her before, and I've told her they're so hot, and she's told me she thinks Rihanna's hot, and we've talked about it, and she's been completely cool with it. But I remember being really, really nervous about telling her I'm going on a date with Rose. And I remember she came around my house, and I said, so, I'm going on a date next week. And she said, oh yeah, who with? And I was like, with a girl. And she just went, yeah? Who? And obviously now Anna's really, really good friends with Rose, so that's really good too. The next tricky part was telling my mum, because, like I said, I hadn't spoken about anything to do with that since I was like 15. So as far as my mum was concerned, I had a lot of long-term boyfriends, and then that's all she knew. She never knew anything about me liking women. All she knew was when I was 15, I told her what I told her, and I don't even think she can remember it, because I don't think it was a big deal to her. And I said, oh, I've been talking to this girl. And my mum was like, all right. And I was like, yeah, her name's Rose. She's a lesbian. And my mum was like, all right. I was like, yeah. We're going on a date. And she was like, oh yeah. And I was like, yeah. We're going to the cinema to watch Paranormal Activity. And she was just like, oh yeah, cool. And then a couple of dates in, obviously I spoke to my mum about seeing Rose. I introduced Rose to my mum very briefly. I popped around my mum's house, I think maybe to borrow a sat-nav or to pick something up, and Rose was with me. I just said, Mum, Rose, Mum, and Mum gave her a hug, and that was cool. 2 months in, maybe more, about 3 months in, about 3 months in, I said to my mum, I rang her up and said, Mum, I've got a girlfriend. And she said, yeah, I know. And I was like, no, me and Rose were like actually going out, we're like girlfriends. And she was like, yeah, I know, everybody knows. And I was like, oh, nobody really gave me shit for it. So I know, I'm really lucky and really blessed. And people might watch this and be like, wow, this isn't helpful because, you know, I've had such struggles and you haven't. But all I can do is share my story. With bisexuality, you get the stupidest fucking questions. Who is better in bed, a man or a woman? Who do you prefer living with or being with, a man or a woman? Which do you like more? Which porn turns you on the most? Loads of people think bisexuality is a phase. That is my life. I'll always be attracted to men and women. I can't help it. I was literally born that way. I got with this guy once, ages ago, and I said to him, I'm bisexual. I like men and women. And he's like, okay, cool. And then I bumped into him the other day when I was in a club. You know, he knew I was with Rose. And he was like, oh, so I hear you just completely bat for the other team now. I hear you're a complete lesbian. And I was like, no, still bi. What makes you think that? And he was like, you're with a woman. And I was like, yeah. And I told you I was bi. I told you I like men and women and I'm with a woman. Why am I suddenly a lesbian? I just want to be in a monogamous relationship. I only want to be with one person, but I'm bisexual. I can't be with a man and a woman. Like, I'm not polyamorous, so I'm not going to be with a man and a woman at the same time. When I'm in a relationship, I'm only going to be one of those people. Doesn't make me straight, Doesn't make me gay. Still bi. Sexuality hasn't changed. It's unintelligent. Like, it's not using your brain. I've told you I like men and women. I'm with one of them in a monogamous relationship. Why are you calling me straight or gay? Why can't I stay bi? It seems as if you're only bi if you're single. That doesn't make sense. You can't only be one sexuality when you're single and another sexuality in a relationship. Fuck you! Bisexuals aren't as accepted in the LGBT community, and I'm not saying that everyone doesn't accept them, because there are people who accept us, but we're not completely accepted. We're not. Bisexuals aren't completely accepted, and that's hard. Some people can't get past the sex, and that's upsetting, and it's also narrow-minded. And it's also what homophobic people feel. They can't get past the sex. Oh, gay sex, you're a pervert. Oh, I'm homophobic. Well, it's like, that's what LGBT do to me, I think. I think they're like, well, you've had sex with a man, you like men, you're going to run off with a man. Because all you're focusing on is, you don't like that sex. Fine, you're not part of my community. Well, that's what homophobic people do. I don't like the sex. Don't get married, I don't like it, I don't like the sex. Well, I can't fucking help it. Oh, Rose is with a woman, but she's going to end up with a man. And it's not lesbians that say this, it's everyone. Like, literally, men or women, straight or gay, people say, I'm going to end up with a man. But in Proud to Love, I said, you know, I didn't ever think I'd end up with a woman. Not because I was straight, but because I just didn't realise at my young age, hadn't had any examples of it. You know, I didn't watch Ellen, it's an American show, I didn't ever watch it. I didn't see it happening in practice. Now I've seen it, I realise it can happen. I thought I'd have to be with a man. To have kids, I'll have to be with a man. To get married, I'll have to be with a man. I didn't realise, you know, because you couldn't get gay married then. And I wasn't exposed to, you know, lesbians having kids. Now I'm older, I watch the L Word, you know. I've watched couples on YouTube who have their own kid, and I see lesbians with adopted kids, and it's on Modern Family, the gay man have a kid. You know, I'm more exposed to it, and I realised that it could be a thing. And people wrote really nasty comments on the Proud to Love video, and they wrote, my biological clock would tick and I'd want a baby and I would run away with a man. People say, I miss the sex with a man, I'll run off with a man. People say that I will definitely cheat on Rose with a man. And it's just so cruel. It's so nasty of people to say. People see snippets of our lives in videos and they have no idea about anything to do with our personal life, really. We let on as much as we want to let on. Why is it me who cheats and not Rose? So because Rose is a lesbian and I'm bisexual, I'm more likely to cheat? Why is that? There's no reason. There's no law. There's no rule. No one's done any tests like, yes, bisexuals are definitely more likely to cheat. No. Cheating depends on whether you're going to cheat or not. It completely depends on the person. It depends on circumstance. It depends on whether you're happy in the relationship. Like, no. And even if I was to cheat, I'm bisexual. Why do you think I would cheat with a man? Because I'm bisexual, people assume I would cheat on Rose, I will break her heart, and I will run off with a man, and then she will be unhappy and feel, oh, well, I couldn't give her what a man could have given her. Bollocks! If you have an orgasm with a man and have an orgasm with a woman, there's no difference. So a man did it or a woman did it. There's no difference. I could have an orgasm on my own. There's no difference. So yeah, that was my coming out story. I don't know what to say. That was my coming out story. It was harder than I thought. Trying to think of some advice to sign off with.
Okay.
Any advice? When you go to the beach and you get your bikini bottoms wet, change it to some dry bikini bottoms as soon as possible because it's really bad for you to sit in wet underwear.
Also, I get sand in my vagina a lot.
Really a lot. We don't even live near any sand.
I know, but there's always sand there.
We haven't been to a beach for like 2 years.
I don't want to talk about it.